Cameroon General Certificate of Education, the GCE exams, the A and the O, and equally we are talking general and technical. We have heard news of leakages. We have heard news of teachers selling questions to students, to candidates. We have heard news of teachers helping even students in examination classes. What is wrong? Is our GCE still the GCE that we used to have in the 1980s, the 1990s, and even the early 2000s? We saw how Anglophones fought for the GCE board. And when this board came, it was good news. Anglophones from all the nooks and crannies came out as one man to celebrate the coming of the GCE board. Can we say after the coming of the GCE board, decades after, can we be happy with our GCE? What is happening? Why are teachers selling questions to candidates? Is the GCE of today and the GCE of yesterday can be compared? How credible are the GCE exams 2023? Equally, in the course of this program, we shall be talking Northwest and Southwest. We have seen how some Amba boys have been dropping their weapons. Can we say it's good news? Can we say it's time to reconcile? Can we say it's time for forgiveness? Can we equally say that it's time for Yaoundé, Bamenda and Boya to come together again, to organize again another dialogue? Why not another major national dialogue to actually see what will happen after another dialogue? Because we know that 7 years is just too much. People have been killed, properties destroyed, and people displaced, people being IDPs in their own country. Well, the program is the Republican debate. If you are just joining us, you are on Camdis Television, we say good evening. We shall be back after this. He is a political scientist. He is an author, a writer of many books. He is here with us. They call him Enshaw Orokare. Mr. Enshaw, we say good evening and welcome to the Republican debate.
Good evening, Mr. Tabi Clarkson. Good evening to my co-panelists and good evening to all our viewers watching us here in Yaoundé and other parts of the world. Also on your social media platform on Facebook.
We say thank you for coming. We are just coming back from Limbe. How is Limbe?
Limbe is cool. There is relative peace there since this crisis began. It has not been like in other places. Just that on Mondays, activities are functional. There are about 60%, 40% is lockdown. And but what I noticed there is that life is pretty expensive there in every aspect. It's even more expensive than Kribi, which I thought Kribi was more expensive than Limbe.
There is life in Limbe.
Life is booming in Limbe.
Life in Limbe seems like there is life, of course, in Kribi. Equally sitting on the panel here with us, he is a journalist. They call him Lambert Kevin. Lambert, we say good evening and welcome.
Good evening, televiewers. Good evening, Tabi. Thanks a lot for coming back to me again. We are very optimistic that as the more we talk, the more changes we expect. I'm so glad to be on this platform once again. And yes, you just hope that after talking, something will happen, like I always say, because talking is another thing. Discussing, debating is another issue, but practicing it is another one. So we expect changes after this program.
Of course, that is why we are here, to make sure that we chip in our own contribution to nation building, as we equally welcome Silvanos Ponenji. Silvanos, I hope I am pronouncing well.
Yes.
Silvanos, of course, we say good evening and welcome. It's true that you have been long not coming to this program. It's a pleasure for us to have you tonight. Good evening.
Good evening, Tabi Clarkson and my co-panelists. It's a pleasure being with you this evening. I hope we are going to talk more on the nature of our country and not only the negative parts, but also look at the positive parts and how we can do to go from where we are to where we want to be. Thank you so much.
It's true that we are still expecting on this panel, of course, tonight. We are expecting Anshan Paul and, of course, Prince Whale. Anshan, they are telling me that Anshan is already by the corner. He will join us in some few minutes to come. The time for us to take this report. We are taking this report. The report, but before we take the report, our technicians are telling me to take first, of course, the press review. The press review of Anne Umeko before we come back. Press review.
Good evening, viewers of the Republican debates on Camdis television. Let's begin our press review with Cameroon Tribune on its first page. Headlines on the different diplomatic credentials received by the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, from heads of several heads of diplomatic missions designated at the Unity Palace during the week. We move over to the Municipal Updates, a daily newspaper. On its front page, the publication headlines on the 2023 June Ordinary Session that opens June 8, 2023 with members of the upper and lower houses of Parliament. Municipal Updates, a daily focuses on the House Speaker Kabaye Yege Jibril as he strikes on amber fighters, and Senator Nyat Jifenji will condemn threats to Cameroon's unity. Cameroon Tribune writes on the second ordinary session with focus on hate speech and kidnappings condemned by the parliament. At the Senate, the President, Masenya Jifenji, calls on tough on those contributing to Cameroon's disunity. The Eagle's Eye also writes on the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Kabaye Yege Jibril, denouncing the abduction of women in Mezam Division of the Northwest region of Cameroon by armed groups and saluted the release. You can read the full speech in page 2 of the Eagle's Eyes. Members of Parliament and senators will continue meeting next week to uphold duties as the people's representatives by taking decisions that will better the lives of Cameroonians in the security, health and education sectors. Cameroon Echoes writes on the visit of the French ambassador to Cameroon, His Excellency Thierry Marchand's visit to the Southwest region, with the ambassador emphasizing on a 60% decentralization success linked to the quality human resources. During the visit on Tuesday, the French ambassador to Cameroon, Thierry Marchand, took stock of the situation in the Southwest region and promised to work for peace, development and extension of bilateral cooperations nationwide, as he was granted audience by the governor of the Southwest region, Bernard Okalabilai, and other important personalities. It is important to note that the ambassador's visit ended with the visit of the National School of Local Administration, an institution created just after the major national dialogue. We move over to the Guardian Post as he headlines on the over 100 dreaded amber generals killed and questions, shouldn't these last two standing surrender? The last two, General Grandpa of Balinyonga and General Kobo of Den, pushing the fight for secession, a crisis that keeps plunging the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon in a very disturbing state for over 5 years counting. You can have details of this story on page 3 of the Guardian Post newspaper. This time around with Cameroon Tribune publication, it comes back to the big mobilization in the fight against hate speech. A fight that involves public authorities, civil society actors, political parties and many more. A phenomenon destroying the society, thus need for sensitization. You can have details on pages 5 and 7. The Guardian Post continues on its first page as it writes on hate speech and xenophobia. The publication quite delighted with the CPDM government's current initiatives to fight hate speech and xenophobia that are on a dizzying rise in Cameroon. Reads more on page 4. Vision Economic writes on the recent Africa CEO Forum in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. Cameroon was represented by the Prime Minister Head of Government, Chief Dr. John Goute. The Prime Minister during the forum invited investors around the globe to place their bets on Cameroon and benefit from countless opportunities that Cameroon has to offer. Le Quotidien this time around on the decision arrived at as concerns Cameroon Chad Corporation. The government of Chad decided over the way through a press release from the Chadian Minister of External Relations that the Chadian ambassador to Cameroon, His Excellency Jida Musa Othman, should regain his duty post and resume work in Cameroon's headquarters, Yaoundé, from June 7, 2023. Cameroon and Chad once again on a good footing. Join me as we move over to the municipal updates once again on the just ended Africa CEO Summit, JCOM 2023, and the fresh prospects for local development that just ended at the Yaoundé Conference Center. It was a golden opportunity for municipalities and both national and international investors to meet and share ideas on how to forge ahead for the developments of Cameroon with the decentralized system towards attaining the national development strategy of His Excellency Paul Biya. The quotidian of Eco Santé comes back to the statistics showing that Cameroon needs 400,000 bags of blood each year. This declaration was made by the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malashi, during a press briefing June 7th, 2023 in prelude to the International Day for the Donation of Blood to be commemorated come June 14th, 2023. The fight to save lives still challenging as out of 100 births, about 782 die as a result of blood shortages. Details on page 5 of Eco Santé newspaper. Let's end our press review with sports. Le Jour newspaper writes on the elimination of under-23 Lions from Gabon. A decision to disqualify the under-23 Lions arrived at by the jury of the African Confederation of Football last June 7, 2023. Reads more on page 9 of Le Jour newspaper. Dear faithful viewers of the Republican debate on Camdis Television, thanks for watching and stay tuned to the Republican debate as it continues with Tabi Clarkson and the different panelists.
Thank you, and Umeko, each speaker will just react maybe in 30 seconds. Any paper caught your attention? I'll begin with the time for us to welcome, of course, Anshan. Anshan, we say good evening and welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me on this prestigious panel. I think the Republican debate, it's no doubt anymore. Everyone knows it's the place to be. And so we would like to thank Camdis Television. I think they're doing a wonderful job. To other televiewers back home in the regions, also we hope that you'll be able to follow and we'll be able to provide some adequate information as to what we think and what we can share on the platform.
As you have the floor, which paper caught your attention?
I think many of them caught my attention, but I would not want to, because that would be giving publicity. But I think a lot of them went on various. I think for me, what really caught my attention was JCOM, which was the decentralization, the CVUEC, the communal councils, and for the meeting which they held in Yaoundé, which brought together, I think, all the municipal councils and various regions, and to be able to expose what they're able to do. And I think it goes in line with what we're trying to be able to push, I think, at the level of the government, which is a decentralized unitary state, and the competencies of the decentralized unitary states, and the partnership that each regional council, each community, each municipality for that reason can be able to bring to the table. What are the partnerships they can bring? What are the riches in their own area? I can say for Bello, which is somewhere where I hail from, we saw honey, which is some of the things that we produce in Bello. So I think it calls upon each and every one of the municipal councils, the regional councils, at the decentralized, even civil society to be able to participate. Why not next time JCOM will not be held, maybe say in Yaoundé, it could be held in Boya. It could be held in another region.
But it was a success, eh?
No, it was a very good success.
The second edition of the JCOM, eh?
Yes, a very good success. So I think kudos to them, kudos to the municipal councillors, kudos to the Ministry of Decentralization, kudos to all those who participated, kudos to all those who left the regions in safe conditions and returned back to the regions to be able to share, especially in the Anglophone regions, whether it be Kumba, whether it be in Bamenda.
We saw foreigners actually taking part, people from Belgium, from the Netherlands, and from France, and so on and so forth. Once again, we see this opportunity to say, credos, congratulations to all the mayors of Cameroon. The time for us equally to ask the opinion of Lambert, the journalist. Which paper caught your attention?
Thank you, Mr. Tabi. Once again, I want to welcome our great Legam. I don't want to say Legama. He is like a politician, at the same time he's like a counselor. Yes, those are the type of politicians that we want. Eco Sante is talking about the amount of blood needed in Cameroon. Let me start from that angle, and it's an encouragement. Though I think that sometimes when we donate blood free of charge, it's being sold in hospitals. That is the technicians of the hospital, they can best explain that. I think it is something very important to encourage us to donate blood, because we can't live without blood. Equally, there's another newspaper that's caught my attention that is talking about insecurity. I think that was the Guardian Post. Insecurity is not only in the northwest and southwest region. Boko Haram is still showing its ugly eyes in the up north, which is making the country to be wanting, which is making us very, very uncomfortable.
Really have to be vigilant.
Yes, like you just say in Yaoundé, insecurity is everywhere. People are killed everywhere in Yaoundé, and you are not even safe as you cruise from going back. It's very risky. I want to tell you that I've been attacked twice. Just at my entrance, there are guys. No, that's why I say security. I'm not talking about Amber Boys here. We're coming back to Amber Boys. We'll talk it out. So I think that it's something that our security technicians, I don't want to say security forces, they should take special notes of that and do everything. I know they may not be everywhere, but at least vigilante groups should take note. And let me round up with there's that particular newspaper that's talking about the Chad ambassador to Cameroon, who almost withdraw due to certain misunderstanding. That is to tell us that in every family, be it external or whatever, there are always misunderstandings. Right. And when there's misunderstanding, it is for the two parties to sit together, talk, and forge ahead. Life is one. We don't have time to waste. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ensure Orokare, which paper caught your attention?
I want to comment on the news, not the paper. What is there is that JCOM caught my attention on the aspect where Anglophones who were present during this JCOM complained that everything was in French. Next time JCOM should make it possible.
That the documents were in French? In
French. Especially the delegation from Nigeria was very critical on that. Next time things should be bilingual. We are in a bilingual country.
Of course.
And the issue of hate speech also caught my attention. We have been talking of hate speech. The Bilingualism Commission is there to fight against that. We also have the National Communication Council. They should work properly. They should not only be organizing seminars, but they should make sure that people live together and make sure that everybody eats to his fullest, because most of these hate speeches are due to grievances from people claiming that others are overeating more than they are, so they have to come out with hate speech to make their voices to be heard.
It's true that the National Assembly equally focused on the issue of hate speech during the opening session. We had Kavai Yege Jibril, the Speaker of the House, say no to hate speech and xenophobia. We shall be coming back to that. The time for us to have the opinion of Silvanos, the paper that caught your attention?
Yes, the paper that caught my attention was that about the surrendering of some Amba fighters. It caught my attention because in the country we are out for peace, and insofar as we know, we can go as far as sacrificing even people's lives, education and whatnot, which will earn us nothing. it is high time everybody comes to understand that it is better with dialogue, it is better we come to the table and come out with a lasting solution that will bring our country back to where it was and lead our country to where it's supposed to be.
It's true that I myself, all of us, we are tired, tired of the war or the conflict or the crisis, put it the way you want to put it, but we are tired. We have seen our loved ones being slaughtered, being killed, houses being destroyed, hospitals and so on. We are really tired. I think it's really time again for us to sit again. There is nothing bad in sitting and dialoguing and dialoguing. Well, the time for us to have this report, the report on the National Assembly, the report before we come back on the National Assembly.
Opening the 30 days ordinary session, which will be dedicated to scrutinizing bills tabled by the government, as well as questions some cabinet ministers. The Speaker of the National Assembly rejoiced over the release of the women who were kidnapped in Babanki on May 20, while frowning at the fact that citizens are forced to pay taxes to unrecognized people. Honorable Kava Yegejibril calls on the government to track down and eradicate perpetrators of such acts, reiterating that peace and security must reign as Cameroon remains one and indivisible. Talking of the health situation of the country, the House Speaker came back to the cholera outbreak, with at least 500 cases recorded every week until May 15 and 60 cases daily in Yaoundé. Even though it is being well handled, he pointed out that prevention is better than cure. Therefore, the government should step up epidemiological surveillance across the country. Pleased with the unfolding of official examinations, the House Speaker urged that measures be taken to pay marking dues that were owed teachers and that the government should start paying such dues regularly and in a transparent manner. Giving a balance sheet of the lower house of parliament while they were on recess, it was positive as the MNAs have been busy. The National Assembly will play host to the 18th Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers of the Commonwealth Africa region from July 13 to 22. It was a satisfied House Speaker, flanked by cabinet ministers and other diplomatic authorities, who opened the session, paving the way for deliberations. The budget orientation debate is usually one of the main items of the June session and is justified by the laws of July 11, 2018, relating to the taxation system of the country.
Well, we say thank you, Serge Mbida and equally Rodrigue Beaumont and all the technicians, Amandine, and my young brother who is equally there. We say thank you and welcome those of you just joining us with the reports of Promise Akante. Can we have our first topic on the screen? We are talking the GCE exams. How credible are these exams? There is a teacher here on this panel with us. We shall begin with him because we hear that some teachers actually sold question marks to students, to candidates. Can we say that the GCE exams 2023 are credible? Silvanus.
Thank you, Clarkson, to ask the question on the credibility of the GCE exams. I will neither say yes nor no, but I will say we should look at the possibilities of why the GCE exams may be credible or not. The GCE exams, to me, at the conclusive state are credible because we have thousands of candidates, hundreds of thousands of candidates that are sitting in for the exam all over the national territory. And somewhere around Fundi, we got news about cyber criminality. We'll talk about cyber criminality. This is the unorthodox use of the cyber. It can be the use of telephone, the internet, or whatsoever. And that some students came saying that, or telling their mates that they had questions ahead of time. We don't know how far this may be true. But it may also be true because we as educational administrators, we use our students to know the information. If we want to hold a thief, ask a thief where the another thief is found, and they are going to tell you. So we have to now look out on where these problems can be coming from. But actually,
we had leakages or not?
Insofar as the leakages
students have questions ahead of time or not?
Leakages in examinations at the international scene are as old as examination itself. So there's possibility for leakages.
You are saying it is normal?
In a normal developed country, leakages or cheating in an examination is normal. Is normal. Therefore, we have to look for now ways to move ahead, because it is not the case of Cameroon. It's not the case of America.
You teachers, you people are selling questions. Is that possible? Can that be true?
Yes, saying teachers sell questions is a way of asking me who is a thief. Because if I had a teacher who sold questions, I could have brought him here. But seeing questions ahead of time, as some say,
that there are some VIP groups.
It's an indication that
where questions
go ahead of time. But I've also heard about the VIP group. That I had a screenshot where they screenshot a message from the owner of the VIP group saying, send 1,500 francs and get your questions. One of the child complained to me that he sent 1,500 francs, but the questions that were given to him were not the questions that came in the GCE. So we don't know now how far it is true. But anyway, in every society, they can never be smoke without what we call fire. Meaning there's something somewhere, and it's a call for attention.
There cannot be smoke without fire. Jean-Paul, this news of teachers selling questions to candidates.
I think if you look at the question in itself, and I thank you guys, Kamdi, for actually putting the right, how credible. That's a very, very definitive and succinct answer. And the question is very credible. Credible in the sense that we all on these platforms are successes of how credible the GCE exams have been throughout the years, because we can exchange, we're pedagogic, we're intellectual, and we can share on this platform. And also we know that we have brothers and sisters who are back home who have, based on these exams, been able to go further in their career. So I think it is credible. Now, if we're looking at the credibility based on the fact that there may be, just like my other brother has said, there may be cases where there might be corruption, but it's the veracity or how far it has been is not yet, there's no yet any official information to verify this veracity of this information, or to hold the culprits as to that point. I think it's a wait and see. Wait and see, because I think the students were still just moving past.
Because I hear that economics, I think economics paper 1 or 2 in the ordinary level, something like that was actually involved in the leakages.
The truth about it is that it could be. I mean, in any system, I mean, even people can hack. I think Cameroon has moved into the educational system where sometimes you can have courses online, especially with COVID, or you can have them face to face. So I think there's that possibility too.
Because I followed the debate somewhere, Anshan. I followed the debate somewhere. Some people were saying that it's because teachers are not well paid. That is why you can see a teacher involved in such a thing. Should that be a reason for
No, I don't think that would be a reason. I think that's a false premise for someone who just wants an excuse to be able to blame the system. Because if you look at it concretely, even school teachers are better paid than contractual civil servants. So in that sense, teachers in themselves in Cameroon civil service are actually well paid in terms of their remuneration.
But they always complain.
Not to say that in terms of some of the per diem that they need to be given, they haven't received. That's a different I think that's a different issue. But as to the veracity and to the credibility of the exams, I think the minister in herself, she went through all the different stations, she went through all the different examining halls. I think most teachers have not complained about the invigilation. Most teachers have not been complaining. I think the complaints we're hearing of the possibility of exams being sold to students, and so that veracity as to that level is yet to be determined. Now, whether or not they are coming from private sector institutions or from government sector institutions, that also has to be proven, because I think that at the level of government institutions, the probability of that is less. Whereas sometimes when you go into private sector institutions, because there's a lot of competition for them to be able to prove that their institutions are actually worthy of the fees that parents pay. And so I think that we have to be able to look at that. But I think fundamentally, people have to wait for the communique that will come from the Minister of Secondary Education.
The official communique.
The official communique. As to that situation.
Lambert, what is your take?
Yes, Tabi, I must say that credible, you know, when you talk about credibility, it's you are able to convince somebody or someone that this thing is real. And to a certain extent, it's not really credible that way. If a minister can sign a document that allowing pregnant ladies to school in the name of students, what do you expect? It is giving them an advantage to do certain things the way they are doing it. Yes, I have 2 kids. I want to say kids because I'm sponsoring them. Who were writing, I don't want to call the center. They came in, the first came in 30 minutes, went into the hall 30 minutes late because she came and couldn't locate her hall, and she asked the invigilator and she bullied at her, and it scared her a little bit until she shouted before a principal intervened. I want to think that if students go to school with cars, if students sit and drink with their teachers, anything can happen. You don't know the cause of a student giving a teacher beer. You don't know what is behind that beer. And it is happening. It is real. If schools are created just beside bars, what do you expect? Examination malpractice is not something that is just starting now. It has happened. And I even think that when we wrote the GC advanced level, some 2 students, my principal, may he still rest in peace, that was the then son of Oku who got missing, although the new one was found. I think that it's something to a matter of concern, but we parents should be blamed. You know, when we talk about teachers, we talk as if to say teachers are being fabricated and sent somewhere. No, they are equally parents. And if the parenting is not being done very well, be rest assured that anything can happen in the classroom, because if you school your child in the house very well.
Are you saying that it's normal for us to have leakages?
It's very normal, because those who are typing or those who are sending in questions, proposal questions to have at examination questions, they are not from heaven. They are teachers, they are human beings like us. And what they go through to create or to have those questions, let me tell you that there are possibilities that if you can create a question and you expect something to come after the creation of the question. These questions are not formed elsewhere. They are in Cameroon. He's an examiner, he's a pedagogue, and they are the ones who are proposing those questions. What if a student can tell you that, if somebody talks about being well paid, a corrupt mind is a corrupt mind, even if you are being paid. No wonder why ministers will steal money and put in the particular room in their house, and they remove 1,000 francs from there and eating every day. Money, a human being is never satisfied with what he has. But I want to think that students should be cautioned. Students should take note that if you want to write an exam and claim that you can defend your certificate, do your best to study what your teacher is teaching you. Forget about giving 2,000 francs and having a good question to pass.
Yes. And sure, did you also follow this news, the possible leakages of the GC exams where teachers are selling questions to candidates?
Yes, I did follow it, and it's not a new phenomenon in Cameroon. There are centers where some certain subjects were banned. It's not a new phenomenon in Cameroon, and more to that, students nowadays, they have all the facilities to learn, but it's just surprising that they are there to be cheating. They have the social media, they have Android phones. During our own period, we needed to walk miles to go and beg for a book from a friend, a classmate, and before you get in those books, you had to do some chores in their home before the parents allow that you can use the book of your classmate. And you see how credible the GC is. To an extent, I can say it's a bit credible, because all of us who are on this panel, we have gone through the Anglo-Saxon way of education, which we passed through the GC ordinary and advanced level, and more to that, we see our francophone brothers who are sending their children to the English subsection of education, meaning that it has some credibility. And more to that, if you go in all parts of the country and in the world, you meet at least 1 or 2 Cameroonians who studied in Cameroon and abroad all year, who are in top positions, meaning that the thing is the GC board and GC.
When we talk credibility, and sure, we are talking the credibility of today.
Yes, I'm coming. I'm beginning from somewhere very far that will come to today.
Okay.
So when you go, you see most of those people are in top places, and they are pride to Cameroonians. For example, you have Vera Songwe, who is one of the top guns in the UN system. That's just one I can name now, which is in my head. But nowadays, you can see that our educational system has been degrading, because you can see from the morals of our children, a child will stand and send his hand for you to greet him, whereas in our days, it never used to be like that. An elderly person comes, a young boy or young girl will keep on sitting on the chair without him or her getting up. It's true that education begins from the family, but the teachers also continue with the education in school. And in our days, we used to have SPICO classes, and SPICO classes were not, questions were not being sold to us. We're being taught that higher probabilities of exams, of questions are going to come from this aspect. You should be focusing on this type. And if you are fortunate, you focus on that, you get your thing during the GC. It was difficult during our period in the late 90s, early 20s for us to be having what we are having today. And that's why the Minister of Secondary Education has been hitting a hand on the table. And I heard on the panel when some of my panelists said teachers are not well paid. Teachers have the highest paid packages in Cameroon. They are A2. They're having more than people from ENAM. They have 250,000 per month, and they also have some few months which they are at home, maybe 3 or 4 months that they are not teaching, and their salary is ongoing, and they have enough time to do extra classes for themselves. So when teachers keep on complaining, I've never understood the phenomenon. And more to that, the Minister of Secondary Education has said this time payment for the marking of GC has been sent, so she doesn't want to hear anything that teachers are striking. I don't know why the leakages are out.
We don't know why the leakages are out, but Lambert said something very important, Silvanus. He said teachers today are drinking in bars with students. You also drink with your students?
Yeah, that is
you also drink with your students?
I don't drink with my students, okay, but I can invite my students to my home for a party, and I share with them.
Like a father?
Like a father.
Not in a bar.
Like a father. One thing about the GCE board that we are failing to understand is that our Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga, has gone a lot to really modernize the nature of exams in Cameroon, especially in favor of the Anglo-Saxon system. She has brought in the notion of technical vocational exams, both intermediate and advanced level. Gone are the days when our students will go and hang at the cap class or probatoire class, looking for the way to cross the back class, and they will never cross. But she has brought in the notion of intermediate technical exams, which are equivalent to the GCE ordinary level, and advanced technical vocational exams, which are equivalent to advanced levels. And over the years, we know as the world evolves, we also have to evolve. She has brought in the notion of e-learning. E-learning came during the COVID-19 and has come to stay. So revisions have been going on during the e-learning platform. And more to that, when we notice the notion of the leakages of exams, the registrar brought in new measures. In Yaoundé and like in other places, there's what we call catchment centers. Means schools don't have questions in their safes any longer. When they get up every morning, the superintendent and the chief of center go to the catchment center and sign out the questions of that morning. Go with them to the school, they write, and they bring back to the catchment center, then take those of the afternoon, and in the afternoon they bring back. That is the phenomenon that is going on every day. And one thing you have to do is this.
Even that catchment, what you call it, catchment center.
The catchment center is managed by.
Handled by somebody.
Is managed by the GCE board. The catchment center is managed by the official of the GCE board. It's not any ordinary person. And then look at the quality of the superintendents we have. The superintendents that the GCE board use are national inspectors. Meaning, in between your job as a national inspector and 1,000 or 2,000 francs that a student can give to you, what do you prefer? Losing your job? Those are national inspectors, regional inspectors of pedagogy. That is to say, the GCE board is going a long way to see into it. But then,
when I hear you talk, it seems as if you are communicating for Madame Nalova.
No, I'm not communicating for Madame Nalova.
So we can say she's a blessing?
I talk as a school principal. Madame Nalova, in our present context, is a blessing, especially in a situation where our country is moving towards emergence. When I talk of a country moving towards emergence, we have to give priority to technical education. And in the past, our children were dropped out from technical schools because they were hooked at the probatoire level where they said questions in French and they could not answer and they had to drop out. But she has come in to salvage this situation by bringing in the intermediate technical vocational exams and advanced technical vocational exams. Only that alone, I can say, will take Cameroon a very step ahead.
Before communicating for Madame Nalova, please answer me this question. The GCE of yesterday, when I talk yesterday, I mean the 1990s, and the GCE of today, can we say it's the same?
The GCE of yesterday and the GCE of today are the same in credibility. The context of 1990 and the context of today are two different contexts. There are subjects that have come in, like citizenship has come in. There are subjects like ICT, computer science that have come in because we have to study based on the needs of the day. We don't study for mastery's sake. We study to solve the present dispensations of the society. And that is why the GCE of yesterday was answering the problems of yesterday and the GCE of today is answering the problems of today. We have the notion of the CBA. With the coming of the CBA, the GCE has become very cheap, according to me, because they ask you questions that even if you did not attend the classes and you're a normal, intelligent child, you understand that if they, for example, if they say, how can we solve the problem of floods? We experience floods in Yaoundé every day. If you ask an intelligent child, how can we solve the problem of floods? A normal, intelligent child will even know some measures to solve the problem of floods. So that's to say, the GCE of yesterday is as credible as that of today. One thing you have to note too is that we at the marking center, there are ways to sort out those that cheat. So even no matter how they cheat, there's a saying that no matter how the monkey thinks he can fly without landing, the hunter also knows how to shoot without missing. So those who think they are cheating during the GCE, we are waiting for their scripts at the GCE marking center and they will sort it out.
It's true. It's true that a proverb is a good word. But tell us, we have the impression that somebody who has an advanced level today does not even know the difference between a formal and an informal letter. Somebody who is in a university today cannot write a good letter without mistakes. Don't you think that that also poses the question of credibility?
In the Chinese society, we ask, what can you do? We don't ask, what can you say?
Yes.
Meaning, insofar as I am able to produce something, and that thing is credible to the society, it doesn't matter whether I can speak English or not. Therefore, we are not in the system, according to me, of mastery. We are not in the system of remembrance. We should be in the system of productivity and not reproductivity. Being able to write back the letter is reproduction. But being able to do something is production. That is where we should Therefore, we should not use that letter to judge the credibility of the GCE. Rather, we should use the productivity of the students in relation to the present day situation.
Not in Cameroon.
If my brother, if you cannot produce a good formal or informal letter, where is the essence of productivity? Secondly, we see our children nowadays, they are very, very weak when it concerns intellectual productivity, because nowadays they have all the facilities, the social media, the e-learning, they have half-day education, where I don't understand why they should be.
They have makeup classes. They have everything.
I don't understand what is happening.
They don't check from distances.
They don't check from distances. I do see why you are defending them, because they are your children. You cannot beat your children in public. But what is there is that let's call a spade a spade. The educational background of yesterday and today are two different things. Those in those days were more powerful than the ones of today. I don't know whether it's a lot of facility, simplicity of education which has made them to be like that. That's a bitter truth. And you yourself, deep inside you know that that's the truth, but you cannot say it in public.
But I don't know why our teachers should not even say it clearly that there's cheating. Because I asked my daughter when he came back the other day and said, Daddy, forget. we saw those who were cheating, and when you were called, you gave a 2,000
Lambert, we are coming back to you.
Yes.
We are coming back to you. The time for us to have Anshan. Anshan. Yes, it's true that Silvanus is defending his students.
His children, not even students.
And the minister.
His children.
And equally the minister of secondary education. Yes, what is your take on?
I don't think he's defending the Minister of Secondary Education. I think the Minister of Secondary Education, Her Excellency Nalova, has been doing her job. It's true that to be able to judge her job based on the difficulties that are encountered in that particular ministry, it would look as if she's not really doing something. But I also have to add a good point to what he says, is that sometimes if you're a giant, if you look in the mirror, you see nothing.
When you are a giant?
Yes, when you are a giant, which means that when Madame Nalova looks in the mirror, she probably sees nothing. But for those who are teachers, just like himself, when they look in the mirror, they see the difference in what used to be and what is, and they see a big difference. And so that's why they call her a giant. So for us who are not particularly in that field, if you bear with me, for us who are not particularly in that field and are not technicians of that field, and the difficulties that and the challenges which they meet every day in that field, take for example the violence. Most times we are looking at the situation in terms of violence with school teachers and schools has changed. We knew that when we were growing up, you could not even address a school teacher, just like my friend was saying. But now, I think it's different. The school teacher is even more scared of the student because he doesn't know how far that child can go or what that child can do to him, in as much as on the campus or out of the campus.
The fact that we don't use cane today in school, maybe...
And so that's another loophole. And we saw videos where corporal punishment in this day and time is useful, because nowadays we understand that you can apply corporal punishment to a child in the school, but if at home the parents themselves are not involved in this child's discipline and in the upbringing, and there's other more emotional problems, then it will be very difficult. I want us to be able to remember that there's a difference between credibility and leakages. Now the technical difference is that you can leak information, true, but will it be effective? Will it be adaptable? And I think that's technically what the teacher is trying to say, that look, we're dealing maybe with an issue where there could have been leakages, but we want to reassure you that if at all there were leakages in terms of invigilation, in terms of marking, we are apt enough, and the GCE board is apt enough to be able to make sure that they can find the root causes and correct this. So in my own perception, I think the credibility of the GCE board per today still stands. Now the effectiveness of our judgment as to how credible, I think it's still credible, because if you have 4 A levels and you're in Cameroon, I think you can still go to a university in England and you'll be accepted and you'll do very well.
Excluding religion.
I mean, unless I'm to be told untrue, unless I'm to be proven wrong. But what I know is that most of those who are in the English-speaking system, when they are exceptionally good, their future is beyond Cameroon. That's to the effectivity and the credibility of the system. And now, if those who are not particularly that good, they can still be able to find themselves in other trades, in vocational training, just like my colleague said.
Yes. We shall soon end on this. Yes, and sure.
Please let me just chip in something. What my brother was saying. Achangpo, what he's saying about the credibility of Anglo-Saxon education is true, because like, let me take an example. Charity begins at home. There are these online courses which I usually used to undertake, like in the University of Harvard, Pennsylvania, Princeton, Yale, and the rest. You see, they say it's a 3-month course, and they have that issue of multiple choices of questions. Within 2-3 days, I crush that thing. The English subsection of education is very, very important and powerful in Cameroon. But when it comes to discipline, there's a lot which we have to do. We see how young boys and young girls are humiliating their teachers in campuses, and which is something which is not good. And more to that, there's this, my principal, when I was in discipline, the application, Gonkum John, you have one of your colleagues who is called Isaac Gonkum. I asked if he said that. He said no. He said, but many people are talking about that man. That man should be a good person who can recommend somebody because they are talking good of it. I said that man was a disciplinarian. That's why his name is still in my head. I even saw one of my disciplinary master, Mr. Mini. That guy used to flog me, ask me to sleep on the floor floor. They will hold my 2 legs, my 2 foot.
And with the flogging, there was credibility.
Yes, that had to threaten me. But nowadays, we don't have flogging. So that they should not be beating children. It's violation of human rights. Something which is very bad.
Before we take
yes, Tabi, I must say that the cane should come back. The credibility is coming the way it is, because I'm doubting. Because when you look critically nowadays, students are so relaxed. Nobody cares. Somebody is defining the status of his or her teacher. What do you expect from the student? I know our teacher here cannot say clearly that there was examination malpractices, that we did this, we caught this, because you must know, as maybe an examiner or a chief of sender or a teacher somewhere, you must know that something happened even in your school, or even if not in your school, but something happened in the course of writing the GC. What I want to say is very clear. I'm talking to students. Teachers are equally parents. I'm talking to your children, I'm talking to your student, I'm talking to you as a teacher. Students should know very clearly what you have as a bribe. Like what we will say, I can go to Bonus and have it all. Go to Bonus and have it and see whether you will defend it. Defending is like writing your name correctly. There are people who cannot spell their name correctly.
It's true.
Remember, I'm in a place where I have everybody.
There are even some personalities they cannot talk in front of camera and microphone like
that. Is it. Some people would like to say
they are not capable.
That is, some people would like to say, I don't want to go on air. You think that they are refusing because they don't want people to see them, because they are able to present themselves on air. Remember, they are on a television debate.
They will be discovered that they
are not talking in my parlor.
They are empty.
That is it. We are not talking in my parlor. If I am able to come sit and talk on air and defend a title through writing, there is something wrong, and it shows that the exams of yesterday is not the same like the exams we're having today.
Okay.
And take note, Tabi, I'm rounding up. Yeah. Take note, students, please. You are writing exams. You are not going there to compete whether your father is a minister or a delegate or whoever. You are writing your exams to defend for the sake of your future. Our teachers here quoted that we need to teach children, to send children to technical school. That one is appreciated because my 2 kids that I have, if they are not going to technical school, I prefer that they go and be working farm because I have yes, I have farm there. Yeah, now I'm landing by saying that technical schools are seemingly the best. Because the grammar that we keep talking every day without hard work is not happy.
Okay, we have heard you. Okay, yes, we are concluding with you on this topic.
Yes, let me make it clear to you that there are some of us that envy the GCE. There are some of the parents that would have loved to have the GCE and they don't have it. Some of them have opportunities even at the job site. Maybe you are a driver to a minister, and you think that even you had even the ordinary level, you could be positioned maybe as a policeman. Some of them come back to write that GCE. And it's possible that some of them, because they don't have time to prepare, they can be moving left and right, looking for questions to come and write. But that does not change, or that does not pose a question to the credibility of the GCE. And know too that there's what we call peer pressure, whereby I can actually be a good child, but you are a bad child, and we are moving with you, then you influence me to an extent. That is possible. Out of 1,000 population that write maybe the GCE, maybe you have 1 or 2 that will fall in such cases. So that one should not even help us, or that one should not even lead us to question the credibility of the GCE board. The GCE board, the GCE exams 2023, where I'm actively involved, are so much credible.
Okay. So that I have discovered.
That's your take.
I have discovered another communication officer of Madame Naluva.
And I think that next time we should also talk on the notion of discipline.
Yeah.
The notion of discipline is a whole theory which we have to come to it. It's a whole theory which we have to come to it and bring in the other stakeholders that are involved in the discipline, and we also have to break down discipline in different levels. Okay. Because that's one thing too that we fail to understand.
We cannot succeed. The pain should come back because avoiding Dr. Do Good, like
it's killing their child slowly.
To call it.
The cane is Dr. Do Good. The cane is Dr. Do Good. Yes. It's true that we shall continue the program with this another topic. Can we have our second topic on the screen? We are talking the Northwest, Southwest, the dropping of weapons. Is it time to reconcile? I'll begin with you, Anshan. Anshan, the last time you were in the Northwest was when?
Well, I was in the Northwest.
You're always there.
I'm always in the north.
My man,
that should not
speak
be.
the truth.
No, why?
Speak the truth.
That should not be the question.
Okay, man. How many times did you go to Bello?
We are from the northwest.
Began?
I'm always.
Bello.
Please, Esha, I'm not asking
I know
questions.
I'm asking you.
Oh, okay. The good news is that it's always there.
One thing I would like to tell you that I would like to make you. I'm very honest and I'm very open. Bello honey. Maybe next time we come here, we'll be able. The consent of the mayor will be able to bring Bello honey, which comes straight from Bello, so you'll be able to use it in the morning.
The one that should go out to Bello and bring it.
Northwest, southwest, they're dropping off.
No, I just want to. I want him to understand something. My people from Boyo. Listen, I'm from Boyo. I have no problem saying I'm from Boyo, but I'm also Republican. Yeah. But I also want to reassure you that in terms of Boyo division, my people really love me, and I equally love them as well. But it's not a question of love; it's a matter of respect. Because in Boyo, one of the most important things since Jua and since KNDP, we privilege education, which means that there is not a system of classism or anything. It matters that you should be educated. We privilege education so that all the children that come from Boyo should be able to make something out of themselves, whether it be in public sector or in private sector.
Northwest,
Southwest, there are many of them.
Northwest, Southwest, dropping of arms, time to reconcile.
I think that question.
We have seen a series of Amber boys dropping their arms.
I think it is on the move. I think the president of the demobilization, DDR, His Excellency Faye Yengo Francis, had a press conference yesterday where he was giving a little bit more as to some of the work that's being done. Now there's going to be a new center which is going to be accommodating, to be able to accommodate those that were the fighters who are leaving actually these separatist movement groups and are coming back to civil society to be able to integrate themselves in civil society. So in terms of the government work, in terms of the capacity to be able to house them, because before it was at Ayaba, which was a little bit behind in Mezan, but now I think it's going to be further up around in Bafut, but it's able to accommodate them more, and I've actually personally been there. So it's not something that we're saying of hearsay. He had the demobilization, the DD has actually been doing a lot of work. I think when you see, we'll call them soldiers. I don't want to call them soldiers, because to be a soldier, you have to go to a certain level of mental, physical training and be patriotic at a certain level. So I don't want to call them soldiers. I just like to be able to understand that these are probably separatists with a different ideology. And for those who are moving away from this ideology because they have found that it is no longer useful to them and to the society, they are beginning to come back to become reintegrated into the society. And one of the possibilities of doing that is going back into the DDR center. And going back into the DDR center doesn't mean that you'll be a black leg, or doesn't mean that you'll be a scapegoat for the society. It just means that it's a startup process for you to come back into society. Mind you, we started with the humanitarian assistance plan to the family members of those, or even in the society, or those who are affected by it. So I think that we are in the process of reintegration. The dropping of arms is just a physical act, but the mindset is the most important thing that I think from this report, from the Cameroon government, we are actually trying to be able to preach in terms of peace. The mindset is the most important thing, because the ideology in itself of wanting those who come from a certain region to be able to destroy everything in the vicinity, to be unpatriotic, to not even cater for their brothers and sisters, that has been much more harmful to us from the Anglophone English-speaking regions than any other thing. And that's what has caused many people to be able to leave the region and seek dependency in other areas. And it will take a long time before they come back. So we are looking at the reconstruction of the Northwest and Southwest to take years. So whether there be efforts in this regime or efforts in another regime,
is a gradual process.
It's a gradual process. So the dropping of arms, to me, of the dropping of the weapons, it's an act. We are welcoming it and we're encouraging it more. But also what we are saying, in the reconciliation process which is ongoing from the national dialogue, even though some people believe it was not particularly perfect, but the process is still ongoing, because we are asking for more and more people to be able to change the mindset. They need not be violent. So we're asking.
The National Assembly opened the other day with the call again to end the kidnappings and so on.
And we're equally calling on them to leave Ojambe. We have a CPD and military.
So that if we can have the picture of Honorable Ojambe with the collaboration of Serge Bida, Andre, and of course Rodrigue.
And we can see
Abomo. It's true that is the release of the phone.
Yes, and Bambalang. And that's where we have to credit this platform. We have to credit Camdis as well, because each and every time on Camdis television, you have made the call for the release of people who have been arrested or kidnapped. At least we understand that on the other side, those who are receptive to the contrary message have made the way forward in being able to read. We had that with Senator Mundi, we've had that with the Fund of Bambalang, and so we are calling on furthermore, what we're asking is for the mindset.
The release equally Honorable Ojambeng.
So
can we have the photo of Ojambeng on the screen? Well, he's telling me that he's still searching. The search is still on.
The importance is for the mindset to change. The reconciliation is part of the mindset, but it's a stepping stone. For those who have contrary opinions, it can still be talked on the table, but for the weapons, it is. Because when you drop it, for example, I would like to give this succinct example. It's not a gun that kills someone. It's someone with a terrible mindset that kills someone. So which means that the gun is there. The act of actually getting the gun doesn't necessarily mean that you will kill someone, because in our traditional villages and sometimes in the Northwest, we use the guns with gunpowder to be able to celebrate something. But now you're actually using that methodology and that heritage to be able to harm people, causes harm. So for us, what we are saying is, in the reconciliation process, the dropping of the weapons is a start. It should continue, but we want
dropping of the weapons is a start.
It's a start
that we are all appreciating.
We're all appreciating, but what we are calling for is for more of the mindset to be able to stop the violence, stop the kidnapping, and be able to live and cohabit with the other brothers and sisters in the environment.
A positive step, the dropping of arms. A time to reconcile.
Yes, reconciliation is a process and not an activity, and reconciliation takes many steps. I think the first step in the reconciliation process is the dropping of arms. Because when we are fighting, by the time I say I surrender, you too have to understand I've surrendered. At that level, we can come together and then understand ourselves. In philosophy, there's this notion of the sanctity of the highest good. When we talk of the sanctity of the highest good, we mean there are two bad things to do, but you choose which one is the best bad thing to do than the other one. In this context, we want to look ourselves, we want to ask ourselves, what have we lost and what have we gained? I want to go to look at what we've lost and what we've gained. Then we should go to what we can do to gain better. And then, for example, I have a car. Should they steal the car or they should steal my house? Or is that a thief has come? Give me your car or you give me your house. I look at what I think is more valuable to me than the other, because the thief has the option of taking anyone, and I give the one which is less valuable to me. So to me, in this context, we are looking at our lives, we are looking at our education, we are looking at our careers. What have we lost so far? We should come back, because it's not too late to come back to the drawing board and think that what have we lost and what can we do. So reconciliation is a process, and that process, with the first step being the dropping of arms, should continue. So anyone, anywhere who has thought, because it is very true that many don't even understand what they are fighting for. It is very true. So it is very clear that
like somebody asked me the other day, what is even again the Anglophone problem? I was unable to answer. maybe you have the answer.
It is true.
What is the Anglophone problem now today?
Actually, the Anglophone problem too is a process. It's not even an activity or a statement, which has a long way to go. So, but
Rodrigue and
we should come to the notion of the sanctity of the highest good. We should not all be angry, because we are all angry and we are all fawns. No fawn is ready to look for firewood, and we'll all sleep in ice. And we'll all sleep in ice, we'll all perish. So one of the fawns should put down their arms so that the other fawn will understand and say, oh, it's better to even be the kingmaker of a fawn than to be a fawn that will perish.
Yes.
Okay. What is your take, Enshaw? The dropping of weapons, can we say, is really time? It's a process, as we're all saying on the panel.
What is there is that the dropping of arms is very, very important, because we have been killing ourselves for the past 6 years. When I say ourselves, all from the northwest and southwest regions, because you claim to be fighting for the independence, for the good of your people, but you torture, you maim them, you kidnap them, you kill them, destroy their properties, which is something very bad. Our brothers and sisters who have left the northwest and southwest regions are now found in the 8 other French-speaking regions. They are copying other cultures, and it's difficult for them to go back, because they have seen something different which they didn't have, and many of them don't want to go back. And when a conflict begins, it's at least 15 years for that region or that country to be in good shape. What is there is that now it's time for us to drop our arms and reconcile with each other, because reconciliation is appeasement, reconciliation is peacemaking, reconciliation is reuniting ourselves with brothers and sisters whom we have done wrong. Like in some other countries, we had what we call the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which to my take would have been that type of commission set up in Cameroon.
We saw it in Côte d'Ivoire.
In Côte d'Ivoire, even in South Africa, we saw it. We saw it in Rwanda. What is there is that in Cameroon, they are putting the cart before the horse, which is something very bad. The DDR Center shouldn't have come out. They have made sure that those guys have dropped out their arms, about 70% of them, before now creating that center. And when they are in that center, what they have promised to those people who drop their arms should be given to them. We saw Yannick Kawa was complaining about the DDR Center in Boya, that those who are there are not well catered, and those who are there have been promised things and they are not being promised, and those who came and met them after have been settled. So he was so bitter on that. Fayengo Francis had to come out to make sure that things go on well. And also in the far north region, he has been looking at the cases of Boko Haram as well as in the northwest region. Yeah, he's doing his best, but a lot needs to be done. And more to that, I'm pleading on our brothers who are in the bushes to drop their arms, and also the military men whom sometimes they do extrajudicial killings. We have seen videos and we have seen on social media how those things have been done. Because with this type of attitude, it provokes the population to continue supporting even a monster rather than somebody who you claim that is coming to help you, like without seeing any good help. I'm pleading on all our brothers and sisters to please kindly drop their arms. It's true that we have a problem in this country, all the Anglophones, because we are somehow marginalized. We want it or not, is the truth. And what is there is that we cannot achieve everything through violence. We need to drop down our arms, and that another genuine major national dialogue should be organized, because the one which was done here some time ago, it was just a sham, because those who said there's no Anglophone crisis were the same people who went and sat and discussed on something which they said is not existing. Something needs to be done, and a real genuine major national dialogue should come up, and the resolution taken there should be applied within the time frame so that relative peace should be returned to both the northwest and southwest regions.
We are talking of peace coming back to Boya and Bamenda, to the southwest, and equally to the northwest regions of Cameroon. Dropping of arms, a step towards reconciliation?
Yes, I think, yes, it is a step. I want to thank the team who are facilitating the dropping of arms, and equally those who are dropping their arms. It is proven clearly that only a pen can solve a problem. I can write very well. My boss usually call me a very good secretary. I write anything that's happened in the workplace. And when he comes, I present him just the papers. Sometimes I don't even discuss with him, proving that a pen is very important. I want to start by blaming us, especially some of us who are here in Yaoundé. As we sit, we just think that what is happening on the field is just those boys with guns and whatever. It's a big lie. The budget that is behind, that is being voted here in Yaoundé to go to the northwest and southwest to see what to do, maybe to facilitate the military movement to some strategic areas, and people, in fact, and they are embezzling the money. Is too. When we will come to evaluate the northwest and southwest budget that was allocated to stop this armed conflict, this is what I call
and
war.
Even for the reconciliation,
you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked.
Yeah, it's big for me.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that I'm blaming some of us who are here in Yaoundé and pretending that in fact, we are doing our best. The best is a little bit, is not the best. The best is not the best, actually. It is good. There is a saying in our mother tongue, Lamso, that whenever they are ending war, they don't count the number of heads that have been killed. Yes, at least so many heads have been cut off. Some of us, the people, we are suffering now because of the war. It is time for us to talk. That's why I say I still doubt the dialogue. The dialogue in Yaoundé here was a preparatory meeting for the real dialogue, because I'm still expecting a dialogue. A dialogue that I will come as a journalist, as a correspondent for a big TV station that has been running his mouth since 2014 to say that yes, this is what happened to me, and I have forgiven everybody, because I have even forgiven everybody. And thank God that I'm here in Yaoundé, I'm surviving. So I think that if there are people in somewhere who can let the guns be silent.
Yes, we shall have this photo by the end of the program.
Not only for the separatist fighters, or you call them Amber boys. No. Every gun should be silent. And I still go back to the north. I'm saying that if we can reconcile in Norway, if everything can be normal, and the north is still hot, remember we are Cameroonians, then there's still a problem.
There is still
That's why from time to time Boko Haram will hit here. You think that is cool, they hit here, meaning that those who are manipulating us, they are from Yaoundé. So the people in Yaoundé, they should know that since the decentralization is still the way it is, everything in Yaoundé should be done and done very well.
The dropping of weapons is good news.
Yeah, it's good news at least. It's good news.
It's good news.
Yes.
Asha Paul, it's true that Silvanos made mention of the gains and the loss, things that we have seen for the past 7 years today.
Yes.
We have said we can conclude that we are not gaining anything 7 years after.
Yes, 7 years after. I think that speaks for those who are rational. That speaks for those who are pedagogic. But we have to realize that we are dealing with people who are not necessarily rational, they are not necessarily pedagogic, they are ideological in their thinking. And when people go into an ideological mind frame of thinking, they're not necessarily logical, rational, or emotional. They go on the other wave. So I think you could see that with Boko Haram, in the sense where we're talking about they build the Khalifa, its spirituality. We're talking about also some of the separatist fighters who are going to, I don't know which kind of politics they go to, but it's almost become a thinking that's been acceptable. Whereas in a rational, pedagogic environment where people go to church, go to work, come back, that does not exist. So I think when we are dealing, just to be technical, I think when we are dealing with that, that is what has probably led to the cost in terms of losses, because the cost can be physical also, the cost can also be emotional. Many people have lost family members, many families have been divided. Many families, some people don't speak to each other again. Cultural reunions have become very difficult, so that's why someone might actually say, when was the last time you went back to your village? Which doesn't necessarily count, but it actually means that he himself, when was the last time he went back to his own village? Or he actually may be trying to tell you that I have not gone back to my village, can you help me go back to my village? So in that sense, it's important for us to be able to be in a communication to be rational and be honest, in the sense to be able to understand that there's rationality and there's irrationality, and trying to tie a cost to it might not be able to help us look intrinsically into the problem, which is a mindset. Because this topic you're saying is time to reconcile, it is extremely important, because there are some who after 7 years still don't think that there should be reconciliation. But there are most of us in the majority who feel that it is time to reconcile and go beyond. So what we are addressing on this panel, maybe what I'm addressing is to that minority who still feels extremist in their mindset, who still feels emotionless in their mindset, who still want to do evil in their mindset, to be able to call them back to calm down. The first act is dropping the weapon. So if some of them who have dropped the weapons, don't marginalize those that have been able to drop. And this message is going to those that...
And those who are dropping the weapons, the DTR centers are there.
Is there
to welcome them.
To welcome them. So those who... And this message goes to a specific few, because those are those that actually propagate the mindset. Those are those that actually look for sponsors for the mindset. Those are those that actually vilify people.
We have seen the dropping of arms in Babangi. We have seen it in Gok and Tunja.
But mind you,
sometimes like His Excellency Fayengo Francis will say, this war is very technical. It is not all the reports that he should present on camera.
Thank you.
And that is why sometimes when he talks, I am a little bit comforted. And on the other hand, I am not comfortable, because the moment they are discussing the same issue, there is shooting in squares, there is burning of houses in meaning that it is a very it's a long process. It's going to take a long process. I told somebody, I was hurt this morning when I was coming on television, because I asked a few questions to my son. He said, Daddy, where is Bankikai? And that is our village. I asked myself, this boy, 7 years, you are asking, you don't know your father's village. What becomes of my father? And take note, where we are struggling now, he knows only about where we are in Yaoundé.
Yeah. That's a bad thing.
And let me tell you that it is, he will...
It's acculturized.
Exactly. And he is definitely going to be to follow up the cultures of around Yaoundé.
Yes.
And that's already an indication that if care is not taken now and fast, something wrong has gone wrong. But let us not make two wrongs that cannot...
We can never win when there is war, when there is conflict. We can never win. Silvanos, 7 years on, it's really time to put an end to this nonsense that we call Anglophone problem.
It is really time to end it. It is really time to end it. The first processes have taking place. I call on everybody who has not yet made up to the target of dropping arms to drop the arms and then come back to the drawing board. I also beg on the government too to turn and also look at the other side, because when we are about to dance, we dance and come together. I don't dance and come, then why you don't also dance?
Even with the Baptist dance,
meaning
one step ahead, 2 steps behind, we dance together.
I want to also beg on the government to also dance a step ahead, meaning those who are in prison because of this crisis, they can also be given a consideration, so that by the time we're organizing the next grand national dialogue, it should actually be a grand national dialogue, and it should be inclusive, where we'll be looking at each other face to face and telling yourself,
somebody is talking of the creation of
my brother, I am sorry.
Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Yes, they should be telling you, you should be looking at your brother face to face.
It should be the commission. It should be the Truth and Reconciliation.
We have one commission that can do so many things.
No, we want the type of dialogue.
We ourselves can do it.
We want the type of dialogue where you be telling your brother that my brother, look at him face to face and say, my brother, I failed.
Commission is an entity which has been set up with specific objective, which is going to be there for long, whereas a committee has a short frame with some objective. Finish.
And one thing to go by that.
Yeah,
one by that.
We don't go for any commission.
I like to make you understand is that a powerful leader is not he who keeps without, who fixes is a point. That is full stop. That's not.
You have to be flexible there.
A powerful leader is a rational leader. A powerful leader is a flexible leader. Meaning, if our father, Papa Obia, the President of the Republic of Cameroon, should think of giving a consideration to those who are suffering because of this crisis, that makes him more powerful and not weaker. If our president should look at those who are in prison and give them a consideration, it makes him more powerful and not weaker. So I want to give him the challenge to be more of a powerful leader than he is.
Each speaker will have a minute. We are concluding. You have not spoken?
Yeah,
you have
like that.
Okay, speak, my brother. Speak.
What is there is that in this Cameroon, you don't need any commission any longer. There's a DDR. There's the DDR. There is the Bilingualism Commission. There's the Public Independent Conciliator. Is enough. What you need is a committee which is going to be set up so that
no more commissions.
Another genuine major national dialogue should be held, and resolutions from there should be implemented in a specific frame of time. We don't need all those things that people go and be eating money, billions like that. We don't need them any longer. And there are those same people saying that there's no Anglophone crisis. And more to that, I'm pleading on those guys who have arrested my brother.
No, we are coming to that. We are coming to that.
No, it's really emotional because I discussed with him 2 days before he was being kidnapped.
Ensure. I'm the one moderator. We are coming to that.
Okay, no problem.
One last round before we conclude. But before we conclude, we shall talk with Jambe equally.
Okay.
Your last word on this topic?
No, definitely. I think he made a Republican cry, and alluding to the head of state, Papa Obia. I'll still give you the same example. When you're a giant and you look into the mirror, you see nothing. You just see yourself. Whereas other people who are below see the giant in yourself. So definitely you're seeing the giant in President Obia, and we are glad that at least people are acknowledging that giant. Now, there's also a judicial system, and I think as the judicial system is good, even though there are quirks in the judicial system and the rhythm of the judicial system sometimes seems slow, I think definitely that call is being heard and will be listened to. Also, as we're going back into the reconciliation process, I think each and every one here of us is an elite as well. So we should not think we are not elite. So we should not only point the finger at others where we are.
When it comes to the eating part, we are not elite. When it's one fight for nothing, we are elite.
No.
That's how it goes.
Elites in different categories.
Yes. When it's to do the dirty jobs, we are elite. When it comes to the eating appointments, we are not elite.
When we're talking about elites, we're talking about in a pedagogic and a rational way. You're an elite because when you come from... We
have to say it in a practical way.
No, you're not a marginalized elite. You're an elite that is bringing something to the table and it's conscious to the Anglophone community, and it's very important.
Yes, when it's to suffer, we are elite.
I believe that I'm just saying... let me finish.
Okay. When it's to suffer, we are elite.
That's it.
Yeah.
We should be
No, we're all elite. All I'm saying is that we can bring something to the table. You need not only rely on others to be able to bring something to the table. We and each and every one of here, for those who are watching back home, recognize
who is we have been bringing.
People are listening.
What
people are watching at us.
Nothing.
People are watching. People are watching, and people are getting us.
You're gaining grace.
No, I don't need grace for that. I need monies for now.
Please, I think we are all tired with the war, with the so-called Anglophone crisis, Anglophone problem, and I think the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, knows what he has to do. He has done already. He has called on the boys to drop their arms. He has come up with certain measures to appease the Anglophones, in quotes, or Cameroonians, in quotes. But I think that measures are being taken to help solve the Anglophone problem. But I want us to look this picture again. The picture of one of the panelists of the Republican debate. Can we have this picture? This picture of Honorable Ojambeng. The picture, Rodrigue Abobo, can we have the picture of Ojambeng Stephen? Yes, Ensure, you have the floor.
I'm too emotional when I see this picture because Honorable Ojambeng is a brother to me. 3 days before he was kidnapped, we discussed on WhatsApp video call before he went down for the 20th May celebration. I was in Limbe, so I was with one of our friends. So we were discussing, both of them are from Ngi. So I said, I have this my very good friend who is a brother to me, Honorable Ojambeng. So she called him, discussed. Then after I said, I'm with somebody, he looked, so he saw my, he shouted, what are you doing there? Where are you? I said, I'm in Limbe. We discussed everything and nothing. So, and he's a very good friend. I've been carrying out some businesses and other things. So when I'm seeing his picture, yes, that was Total Yannick with Emmanuel Jakai. We were having some bottles. We saw one guy from there. So we brought up that issue. So the guy was also very touched. He's a vendor selling smoked fish. So he said, Honorable Ojambeng is a very good man. This guy should please allow him. I said, that's my take also. He's a very simple and nice guy. He's a simple dear militant here. Maybe that might be his fault that he's being kidnapped. But
put the picture of Ojambeng, Rodrigue.
But to me, generally, he's a very nice person. Sociable, kind, down to earth, and always accessible when you need him.
Thank you. A minute also, I will begin with you. Concerning our panelists, our brother,
yes,
on the Republican
this is
debate.
Our brother that has been kidnapped, and you know, I already said we should work with the sanctity of the highest good, and we should also look at, if you hurt me, and I want to hurt you, then will that bring us something positive? It is very possible when we talk of honorable, I mean this is a member of parliament. Meaning that is somebody who is out to hear the cry of the people and present it to the National Assembly.
It's now at the Regional Council in the Northwest.
Okay.
Yes,
therefore, I want to beg on my brothers that if there is one of our elite that has done something that to you think is not right, or whose way of doing things individually to you is not right, it's better you use your pen, as my brother rightly said. The pen is the most powerful weapon. And table that to him. If he sees crime, if he doesn't hear, we have quarters that we can summon them there and they must come to the right order. But if he's taking somebody hostage, I think what they lost and what the man himself lost will be loss plus loss leading to loss, and it will not really be something good for us. We have to be ourselves once again. We have to keep also asking ourselves, what have we done for our country? Like I heard one of my brothers saying, we don't eat together. It's not nowadays in the new dispensation, the new horizon that we are moving towards, it's not going to be a matter of eating together. I think you can discover that National Polytechnic is not direct recruitment again. You can understand that QS is not direct recruitment, meaning we are moving now towards the nature of the country where my brother Peter has ever visited America, where they are going to ask you, what can you do? I think that is where we are moving towards. Meaning, wherever you are, you have to work before you eat. It's not a matter of nobody is eating, is going to eat free again.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. For my call is for those that are holding hostage onto Ojambeng. You know, a political party is an association. And so if you have to judge someone for his association to a political party, it will be the wrong move to take. As a person in himself, just as other panelists have attested to on this, Ojambeng is someone who is very, very welcoming, very open. So we're only asking for them to be able to release him. Releasing him doesn't change the fact that if you have questions or if you have grievances, you can always table the grievances towards the state. But releasing him also means that shows you're part of humanity, because it's a human crime. Actually, it's a crime against humanity to hold people and kidnap people against their own will. We are brothers and sisters. That is not the notion. That is not the education we want to be able to propagate towards our children. Whether we don't have the same ideology, whether we don't have the same take on things, but kidnapping people, violence, hurting people, that is not part of the solution. So we are calling on those who are holding him, whether they're watching this, wherever they may be, we're calling to their consciousness. If they have grievances, they are always free to table the grievances, but they need not, and we need not go into a state where we are holding captive our brothers and sisters against their own will, because we are also fathers, brothers, and sisters of the same family.
Thank you, Anshan. Yes,
Tabi,
Lambert.
I really feel so sad, but at the same time, I'm not a politician, but let's forget about politics when we're talking about development. This man is a philanthropist. I've followed him several times. This man is a father of kids. This man is an administrator. Whether we are CPDM, STF, UNDP or whatever, we are one society. Sometimes we really need to feel like human beings. I don't want to say he was kidnapped. I want to say he was taken. He is being kept in the camps of the separatist fighters. Those who are keeping him. For the fact that he's a parent, even if he has done so many wrongs, just think about the one good thing that he has ever done. Allow him, let him have, in fact, his free liberty, and you will chat the thing through. It is not true the keeping on him for so many times, weeks, months in the cell that will cause the end of this. It is dialoguing. It is talking to him as a father. It is considering the fact that he is a human being. He has feelings. My fear is that he should not be treated in a way. So I'm pleading that at least wherever he is, please, he's a father.
Okay.
What about him being a CPDM?
Thank you.
CPDM, we will all die and leave CPDM and SDF. We are human beings.
Thank you. And SDF can even die before us, or CPDM can even die before us too. Yes.
Please, let me just chip in something again on this, my brother, Honorable Ojambeng. He's a very nice man. I'm calling on our brothers who are holding him to allow him. First of all, they burn his home in this crisis. His mother died. He couldn't go and bury his mother in the village because of the insecurity. They have done him enough bad things. Please kindly release this man. He's a very nice man.
Can we have the picture of Honorable Ojambeng again, once again? Roderick Abomo. Well, is Ojambeng Stephen? He is my friend, my very good friend. And I will say it again and again and again that he is not the cause of the Anglophone problem. And he is no longer the solution, if at all there is an Anglophone problem. Because I myself talking today, if you ask me the question, what is the Anglophone problem? I am unable to say it. Because Anglophone problem does not mean kidnapping your own. Honorable Ojambeng, we keep on praying, and we are asking for the immediate release of Honorable Ojambeng and others who were actually, and others who are actually in your custody, the custody of the Amber Boys. We are asking that you should free all those who you are having in your custody, because that is not the solution for the Anglophone problem, what you people call Anglophone problem. We are all sons and daughters of the same republic. We have the same problems. Believe me, we need to talk. And to talk, we need to sit and dialogue, and certainly solutions will come out. We on Camdis Television, we are Republicans, and it's on this note of hope that our own Honorable Ojambeng will be one day freed, because he was kidnapped on the 20th of May in Gi, after the celebration of the 51st edition of our national unity. As I said earlier, we are all sons and daughters of one big republic. We are again asking for the release of Honorable Ojambeng. We say, gentlemen, thank you for coming this evening. It's on this note of hope. Hope that we shall have the release of Ojambeng. Hope that we shall have a better tomorrow that will put an end to this another edition of the Republican debate on the Republican television. Till then we say, may the Almighty God continue to bless the Republic.